Hi everyone, this is Miss Tom with 9.1.3, Solving Absolute Value Equations and Inequalities. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about what we learned from last time. So what I want you to do is to pause the video, see if you're able to solve this, and I'm going to be solving it and pausing the video as well. How'd we do? Did we get this? Did we subtract 7 and then divide by 2? So we got x is, we notice this one is going to be less than 2.5. So that's what we will write in this area right here. Inequality in words, it is x is less than 2.5. Alright, and then we write right here this as well. Now, what is the point of this, ladies and gentlemen? The point of this is we want to try to find the solutions for x, and x is anything that's less than 2.5. So it's like maybe you make anything less than 2,500. What's the amount that you could possibly make? And some people are unfortunately in debt, so that means that includes negative. So we've got the 2.5, that's open circle there. It's open circle because it is less than, not equal to. And then what we're going to do is we're going to shade what side is it less than, what side's less than 2.5, and it's all of these values here. All right. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and talk about this one right here. It's the main part of today's lesson, and it's talking about Henry and his location. So let's say you're talking about, where are you, Henry? We're looking for you. If you're at the point 0 and you're Henry, Henry is there at point 0, and I'm going to do this in a different color. Henry is at point 0. Let's go with green. If this will let me go in green. Here we go. There we go. Henry is here. But he tells you, and you don't know where he is, you're like, but he tells you that he is 7 miles from home. Where do you think Henry is? Well, the mom has to think, okay, he's 7 miles from home. So where is that? Well, if we look, he's 7 miles from home. Most of you would probably say he's here. He's at positive 7 location, because that is 7 away from 0. However, is that the only possible location that he could be at? No, actually. He could possibly be at negative 7, where that is also 7 away from home. So yes, let's go ahead and use the absolute value to represent that, where we would write the absolute value of x is equal to 7. Now the reason why we say absolute value is because absolute value means the distance away from something. So as you can see, if he's at 0 and we know the positive distance is 7, he could be 7 away in this location and also 7 away in this location. So we would say that is what our solution is, where x can have two values here. X can either be equal to 7 or negative 7. Both are possible. Alright, so now that's what we've talked about this, we are going to go ahead and talk about it again. We say x, the absolute value of x is equal to 5. So we could say x can equal two things. It could be 5 or negative 5. Both are possible solutions. Now that we know that, we're going to go ahead and talk about this part right here. So right here, we've got a little bit more complex of an equation, but it's still solved the same way. We still have 2x plus 3 is equal to 5, but we can think about it as our possible solutions. And how do you think about it with our possible solutions? Just get rid of the absolute value and just know this is one possible value where x is having the positives, and then we also have another possibility where it could be negative, where the answer is negative 5, just like we did in this one. See that? X could be 5 or negative 5. That's all I'm doing. I'm saying that x could be positive 5 or negative 5. So then all we have to do is solve for what x could be. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that line and solve for x, subtracting the 3 to both sides. This is going to eliminate. We end up with 2x is equal to 2. Feel free to pause or forward this video if you're feeling like it's a bit long. So that means that we can know that x can have a value of 1, or let's see what the other possible value is. Okay, so again, I'm solving this, subtracting 3 from both sides. That end up being a 0 pair here. Then we've got 2x is equal to negative 8. Then dividing by 2, what we do to one side, do the other. And the other possible value for x is going to be negative 4. So we've got two possible values for x in this case. We say that x can be equal to 1, or x could be equal to negative 4. And that's because absolute values could be either positive or negative. Alright, so let's continue working on the more complex ideas. Again, pause the video if you're having trouble. Alright, and continuing on, what if we have this scenario here? Remember, with absolute values, you do have the possibility of having it a positive answer or a negative answer. So we've got the positive answer where we keep it positive, and we've got the negative answer where we make the answer be negative. Alright, so let's go ahead and start with the positive side. Again, feel free to pause the video and try it on your own, or you can speed it up if you feel like this is a little too slow for you. Whatever works for you, as long as you're learning, that's the most important part. So then we're going to go ahead and divide by 3. We get x is equal to 7. And then over here, we've got the same kind of idea, except we're talking about the negative side, because absolute values can have two values, either positive or negative. This goes out of the way. We end up with 3x is equal to negative 11. And this one is not so easy of an answer. We've got a little bit of a decimal here. It says negative 11 over 3. That would be negative 3 and 2/3, which we would just say is 0.6 repeating. I don't know what's why it's not letting me write. Okay, so 0.6 repeating there. Okay, so then now what we're going to do is we're going to graph that. What does that look like? Where is the location that x could be located in? It's going to be in, I'm just going to rewrite that. It's going to be located in two locations, either 7 or 3.6. There we go. So we've got, this is where x could be. Since it's equal to, we're going to go ahead and fill it in. And then it also says x could be negative 3.6. So he could also be here. Both are solutions. Those are the solutions for x. Alright? Keep that in mind. Let's continue. So once again, we've got an absolute value, but what if we have an inequality? That means that x could be many, many values. So what we've got to do is this. We need to list all the values that x could be. So what could x be? If x minus 2 is less than 3, that means x could be 1, right? Because if we put in 1, 1 minus 2 is negative 1. That works. Negative 1 is less than 1 after you take the absolute value. It works. What if we put 2? The absolute value, if we put in 2 here, it'd be 2 minus 2, which is 0, and 0 is less than 3. That works as well. And then if we put in 3, that works as well. If you're going to notice, there's a lot of solutions that x can be. So instead, what we'll do is we'll write x minus 2 is less than 3. We're talking about the positive mode, and then we're also talking about the negative mode, which is x minus 2 is less than not positive 3, but negative 3. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and solve for x, just like we did before, where we add 2, and noticing what we can see here, this goes by, then we end up with x is less than 5. That's one possible solution. Or if we're looking at the negative side, we're going to go ahead and add 2 to both sides. This ends up being 0. We get x is less than negative 1. So, how do we graph this? Here's the part where I really need you to pay attention. It says x is less than 5. 5 is here. Do we fill in the circle? No, because it's open circle. And then we go, what's less than 5? It's in these directions. And then it also says x is less than negative 1. So we're going to circle that negative 1, and notice it's all the way here as well. So what's important is that you are going to label everything that you know. So that means since x is less than 5, everything here is going to be highlighted, and since x is less than negative 1, everything here is highlighted as well. So what's happening here is all of these represent the solutions for x. All of them do. Alright, so again, pause the video if that was too fast or if you needed review on it. Now let's continue. I'm going to skip this portion right here and go right into solving it algebraically. So we've got x plus 1 or plus 2 is greater than 1. Remember, we've got the positive route because absolute value could have positive or negative. And we also have the negative route, which we go x plus 2 is greater than not positive 1, but negative 1. Okay, so once again, we're solving the solution. We're going to go ahead and take away the 2. Do that at both sides. This ends up being 0. Then we get x is less than negative 1. That's one possible solution. Then we're looking at the other one where we subtract 2. Then we end up getting x is greater than negative 3. And we go ahead and graph what our solutions are when we say that it is greater than negative 1. That's here. So it's greater than, I'm keeping the circle open because it's greater than negative 1. And then I'm also noticing that it's greater than negative 3. Those are both in this direction. So that's where we're going to highlight. Alright, those are all the solutions that x could be, and that's why we've highlighted those inequality solutions. Alright, here we go. We're on to a little bit more tough of a question. Some of these you can actually solve on your own. We're going to go over one more example, and the example I'm going to go over is this one right here. Again, I'm going to just skip this part just because I want to make this video not so long. We've got 3x minus 11 is less than negative 2, so we've got, remember, there's the positive answer. We've got, this is the positive answer, where we keep it, and then the other answer is the negative answer where we change this value. This one's a little tough because it's a little bit like, oh wait, but -2 is already negative. Well, one of the values is we're basically just going to change it. Alright, so let's go ahead and solve for x. Here we go. We're going to go ahead and add 11 to both sides. 2 to 1, 2 to the other. This ends up with 0. Get 3x is less than 9. Then we're going to go ahead and divide by 3. And we get x is less than 3. And then over here, we're doing the same thing, adding that 11. $3x is less than 13. This one is going to be a little bit more challenging because we've got a mixed number, and the mixed number is going to be 4 1/3, also known as 4.3. Alright, and let's go ahead and graph it. Remember, we have two solutions, so we say x is less than 3. We're keeping it open because it's open inequality. And then it says it's less than 3, so it's all of these values here. And then it's less than 4.3. 4.3 is about here. Here as well. So everything that gets shaded is here. Alright everybody, thanks for watching, and I'll see you for the next video.